even allowing for the possibility that the court in Strasbourg will question the principle of sending people to Rwanda or sending people back to France, the government is planning to put a statutory duty on the Home Secretary to remove migrants who arrive in this country illegally. Now, first of all, the terminology is extremely ambiguous. So a migrant arriving in this country illegally is a concept which is defined by Britain and not internationally. So there may be a question over that. Secondly, the new immigration bill, which may or may not put a legal duty on the Home Secretary to remove migrants who arrive illegally, is simply a revival of a plan which was put forward by Tony Blair to remove migrants who are criminals, who have a criminal case against them proven in law, to have those also removed. So this isn't new territory. This is territory which has already been covered by a Labour government, at least in principle. However, what is new is the idea that somebody is simply going to be removed from the country because of the way they got here. Now, that is against the 1951 Refugee Convention that we signed, and in fact, we in the United Kingdom were partly responsible for drafting the convention in the first place. Now, one could say that the situation has changed and the type of migrant, asylum seeker, has changed significantly, and the quantity has changed significantly. If that is the case, then what is necessary is a global meeting to redefine that convention, not a one-off single country defying the will of the global majority. So I think it's likely that in the 18 months left of this present government, it will be almost impossible to deport anybody who arrives, quote, illegally, particularly given the fact that Suella Braverman herself is on record in a committee meeting saying that should somebody try to come to this country from an unnamed African state, and the only route for coming to this country is to do so by a boat across the channel, although that is illegal, quote, although that is an illegal route or an unsecured route, they should then be able to apply for asylum when they arrive on British soil. This was a question put to the Home Secretary by a Conservative MP, and she squirmed, of course, at the question because it wasn't what she wanted. But she admitted that actually the only course available to that particular migrant was to use an, quote, illegal route. There are too few legal routes for people to use because the Home Office is on a monumental go slow. So all this announcement is in one sense a lot of hot air, but that hot air could gather steam and could be drafted into some form of legislation, which would be very difficult to deal with. The chief executive of the Refugee Council, a man called Enver Solomon, said stripping migrants who have fled persecution and war of their right to claim asylum in the United Kingdom was nothing short of inhumane. They've done nothing wrong and only take dangerous journeys to reach the UK because they have no safe alternative, no safe route through which to make an asylum claim. It is appalling to treat them as criminals. Now, I also happen to know that the various centres for processing visas are equally inhumane and thoughtless. They're operated in quite a number of countries, and they are simply they simply fail to provide people who want visas with the sort of information that they need while they are making that application. It is very complex. The only people who benefit from this complexity and from the lack of help in the centres themselves are lawyers. The whole system needs to be reworked so that it is clear and transparent. Because at the moment, the only people it is tripping up are people who are in need. Criminals will know how to get round the various trips, because those trips are linguistic for the most part, and they are not designed. They're not designed to trip up the professional criminal. They're designed to hamper an ordinary individual. And that seems to me not to be humane, to quote Mr. Solomon. Not to be humane. It is simply to be petty and difficult and vindictive, spiteful. Now, does all that sum up a person who dreams nightly of putting people on a plane to Rwanda? I don't know.